What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Steve's Random Stuff. Hey, today I am back out in the garage and it is tournament preparation time. We got our club tournament coming up this Saturday at the Delta. We're launching out of B&W first thing Saturday morning. So as always, just want to go through the baits that I got set up and kind of my game plan for the day. Fishing with one of our newer club members, Robert. Him and I talked for a little bit today. Kind of went over some baits and some options and kind of what we think what's going on. As you've watched the previous videos, I've mentioned that I don't fish the Delta a whole lot. And looking back at my history and my notes, I've only fished the Delta in October a couple times over the years, so not a whole lot of knowledge for the fall time of the year. So just kind of going with some current reports on YouTube. Guys like Alan Fong, who posted their video today, and In Deep on the Delta with Steve Cooper. His will be coming out tomorrow, so we'll see what he has to say. Any other resource, I kind of look back and, like my old notes. And another good resource is westernbass.com. They have a report section if you're not familiar with that. There's not a whole lot of reports on there that are current. However, a little tip for y'all: if you go back and look at previous years, they go back many years, 10 years, probably more, and look at kind of previous years for the time period that you're interested in fishing, and kind of looking to see what kind of patterns were going on, see what kind of baits people were using. Where to go and where to start is always a challenge for me out there. I think we gotta kind of get game plan. We're going to kind of hit the San Joaquin River and head south, fish some areas maybe south of Frank's Track. It is supposed to be blowing gust up to 30 miles an hour on Saturday, so that's going to be a challenge, but the wind is coming out of the west, so if you stick to north-south sloughs and stay behind the berms, then we should be fine as far as the wind goes. And as long as you're not on the main river, then that's generally pretty good bet where you're not going to run into a lot of rough water. If you do fish the Delta, one of the things that I've seen over the years is if the tide is moving in the opposite direction of the wind, so when they're kind of meeting together, that's when you get the big waves. Once that tide turns and is flowing with the wind, it generally lays down. So the morning we have a outgoing tide till about 10:30. And so that wind will be blowing into the tide, so it might be a little rough in the morning. But then in the afternoon, with the incoming tide and the wind blowing the same direction, it should be smooth sailing, hopefully, not too rough like it was earlier this year for us. But anyways, let's get into the baits. Got some topwater, kind of anything fast moving down to slow moving. I'll kind of go through everything I got going on right now. Take some of these rod or lure covers off. Starting off here with a Mr. B buzzbait. This one I just picked up from him today. It's got this chartreuse blade, something a little different, a little smaller than what I was throwing before. I got a rage crawl in the back, white kind of shad pattern. So that's the first bait. Something I'd be throwing in the morning. And also decided to go with a 110 whopper plopper, again in the white. Fall transition, hopefully those fish are chasing bait fish, and so I'm sticking with the white for the whopper plopper. Next up is a crankbait. This is a 6 cents, again shad color. I'm going with a square bill crankbait, something I can keep up shallow. Fish around the edges of the grass, fish off some breaks and stuff, and this will get down 5-6 feet maybe, so I can fish that around some of the cover and hopefully get some reaction baits. Next is, you can't go to the Delta without throwing a frog, and so this is just a popping frog, something I can throw around the grass again, throw around those edges. And the frog bite, I heard, is starting to taper off. Not much going on there, but we'll see what happens, see if those fish are moving out of the grass and out into the moving current, which I think is what's going on from what I understand. That the heavy grass and as the grass starts to die off, those fish are going to move out of the grass and get out into the current areas and the current breaks, and so that might be the game plan, to look for those kind of areas around the islands and then corners of sloughs, and where there's, like I said, where there's moving water, there should be fish. So moving on here, again, fall time of year, it's time for spinner bait, and again the Mr. B spinner bait. This is my go-to bait. It's been my go-to bait all year long, so I love throwing this bait. This color just puts fish in the boat. So I'll be throwing this quite a bit, and I do have some other colors if I need to change things up a little. And then to mix things up a little, I got a swim jig. This again a Mr. B swim jig, half ounce I think, or maybe it's 5/8, with a kite check on it. I was going to put a chatterbait on, or bladed jig. I think I'm going to try something a little different. Maybe there's something the fish haven't seen, and try the swim jig. I can throw this through the cover as well, and hopefully pick up a couple fish with the swim jig. Next up, again, getting into some open water. This is kind of just an option. Again, just some clean open water. This is a Rapala shadow wrap jerk bait. This is a shallow runner. So again, to keep it up out of the grass and catch some of those shallow fish. Again, in the shad pattern. So I notice the pattern there. Everything's kind of white and white chartreuse, or sticking with the shad colors. Now, if the bite isn't turned on with the moving baits, then we go to flipping and pitching, and going to this Mr. B deep structure jig, 5/8 ounce with a Yamamoto flapping hog on there. Again, something I can punch around the grass and get down a little deeper, get it down there quick, get some reaction bites. Maybe on the fall with the jig, I can fish that shallow. I can fish that deep or wherever. So that's the first plastic. Next up is punching. Got a punch rig set up here on my Dobbins 795 flip, 1 ounce weight. Again, another flapping hog, double bobber stops on there to keep that bait from sliding. And so this 1 ounce weight, I can punch some of the grass mats and get down there, and hopefully any bass sitting in that grass, and get down there and punch through that hard stuff. If I need to, I can bump that up to like an ounce and a half to get through the thicker stuff. But I think from what I understand, the 1 ounce is what's happening, according to some of the reports I've seen. 2 more baits. You can never go to the Delta without some kind of Senko. This is a 6-inch green pumpkin red flake wacky rigged with the Frenzy wacky saddle, and so I got that rigged up on my Dalvins. This is actually a 733 rod. I'm kind of used up all my 734s. The 6 inches I much rather throw in a 734, but I'm using those for something else. So we'll see how that works. But again, Senko, you can never go wrong with that. And last but not least is the infamous bait, the Sanshuo. And this is a Tokyo rig. If you haven't used a Tokyo rig before, it's kind of like a Bubba drop shot with the weight. I got a 1/2 ounce tungsten weight on there. Again, something I can flip around the grass. I can get it down there. It'll punch through the grass and drop straight like that. With the Sanshuo on there, again, dynamite bait, and it's one of my favorite colors. This is the amber laminate color. So that's another flipping bait. So I got basically 4 flipping baits, and then the rest reaction baits. And so hopefully, combination of all these will be able to put some fish in the boat. Again, I think I'll be focusing on moving water, areas where there's current breaks along the main rivers, the main sloughs and such, around the islands. It's kind of what I'll be focusing on. And like I said, running down probably south of Frank's Track down to some of those areas towards Old River, Holland Marina, maybe work our way back up around to Connection Slough and up that way, and then come back around, maybe through Potato or something. But I don't know, we'll see how the day goes. Anyways, that's the game plan. Today is Wednesday, and so hopefully when I post this, I'll get this up hopefully by this weekend. and you'll be able to watch this when I'm out in the Delta fishing. So Robert and I think we have something figured out. He's been out fishing the last couple weeks and had a good day 2 weeks ago. Last week he said it was a little tough, but the tide was the opposite. So hopefully between the two of us, we need 10 fish between us. It's a draw tournament, so we got to keep our fish separate. But we'll get out there and do our best, and we'll give you the report later on with the follow-up video next week with the tournament and tournament results and how things went and what baits worked and what baits didn't, to kind of like what I've done for the last few months. So anyways, appreciate y'all watching. Like and subscribe as always. Hit that bell to get the notifications when the next video gets posted. But that's what I got going on for the Delta for October 23rd, 24th, something like that, whatever Saturday is. I don't know what the date is, but anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one.